At the 2017 NBA Awards, Bill Russell received the league's inaugural Lifetime Achievement Award. It was presented to him by five Hall of Fame centers: Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, David Robinson, Dikembe Mutombo, and Alonzo Mourning, five of the greatest big men in the history of the sport assembled on one stage to honor him. Russell accepted the award. He shook their hands, looked at each of them in turn, pointed, and said, "I would kick your ass." That was Russell at 83 years old. He gave Charles Barkley the middle finger on live television at the 2018 awards ceremony. He told Michael Jordan during a round of golf that he did not think Jordan would live long enough to match his 11 championships. He was the most competitive person in a sport built entirely on competition, and he never stopped being that person for a single day of his life. Net wins ranks him 7th. The ranking's probably too low. Here's why. His composite rank is 7th all time. He had 88.6 net wins, another 5 added for the playoffs, for a total of 93.5 over 13 seasons, averaging 6.81 with a peak season of the 59-60 Celtics, who went 59-16, of 9.17. His top 3 average was 8.91. Those numbers rank Russell 7th. The honest answer is they should rank him higher, and the formula itself is why they don't. The NBA did not track block shots or steals as official statistics until 1973-74. Russell retired in 69. His entire career, 13 seasons, 0 blocks recorded, 0 steals recorded. The formula counts blocks and steals as positive actions. It counts nothing for Russell in those columns because the columns did not exist. This is not a small omission. Russell was the most transformative defensive player in the history of professional basketball. Opposing players described trying to finish at the rim against him as aiming at a moving wall. He did not block shots to send them into the stands. He blocked them to teammates, converting turnovers into fast breaks, turning defense into offense, and a single motion that the box score never captured, or even when the box scores existed. What it would have credited him had he had these statistics been tracked is impossible to calculate precisely, but based upon what contemporaries describe, the number would be significant. The database has an amber highlight and an editable field for pre-1974 block and steal data. Anyone who wants to input estimates for Russell based on historical accounts can do so. The formula will recalculate. The number will go up. 11 NBA championships in 13 seasons. The formula can measure this only indirectly through the wins and losses his teams accumulated. What it cannot measure is what those 11 championships meant structurally. Russell won 2 consecutive NCAA championships at the University of San Francisco in 1955 and 56. He captained the United States team that won the gold medal at the 56 Melbourne Olympics. He then joined the Boston Celtics and won 8 consecutive NBA championships from 59 through 66, the longest championship streak in the history of professional sports in North America. He won 11 total. He's one of only 8 players in history who have won an NCAA championship, an Olympic gold medal, and an NBA championship. The others include Oscar Robertson and Jerry West. The combination is genuinely rare. Russell did it before his professional career was 2 years old. He was a 5-time NBA Most Valuable Player. The MVP was voted on by the players themselves at that time, not by the media. His peers, the men who played against him, chose him 5 times. In 61-62, when Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 points a game and Oscar Robertson averaged a statistical triple-double for the entire season, the players voted Russell the MVP. They watched Chamberlain score 50 points a game and said Russell was the most valuable player in the league. In 1980, the Professional Basketball Writers Association of America voted him the greatest player in the history of the NBA. It was not a close vote. The story that everyone knows about Michael Jordan is he was cut from his high school varsity team as a sophomore. He used it as motivation for the rest of his career.
This audio was created with async.com.
He used it as motivation for the rest of his career. The story is true, and it is the engine of the Jordan mythology. What fewer people know is that Russell was cut from his high school junior varsity team, then cut again. He was not a finished product as a young player. He was awkward, still growing into his body, not yet the defender who would change the sport. He made the varsity team eventually, but barely, and he was good enough that the University of San Francisco offered him a scholarship only on the condition that a teammate was offered one too. He was also at the University of San Francisco considered good enough to compete in the high jump at the Olympic trials. His wingspan was enormous relative to his height, a physical attribute that contributed to both his rebounding and his shot blocking, and his athleticism was described by coaches as unusual, even among elite athletes. He chose basketball. The choice worked out. Red Auerbach was asked throughout his life whether Michael Jordan was the greatest player of all time. He would agree. Jordan's the greatest player of all time, no doubt about it. But if I was starting a team and the idea was to win championships, I'd take Russell first. That is the most careful and honest sentence anyone has said about the GOAT debate. It separates the question of individual brilliance from the question of winning, and it answers both simultaneously. Russell did not name a replacement Auerbach did not name a replacement when Russell retired. He made Russell the player coach beginning in 66-67, the first black head coach in any of the four major North American professional sports leagues. When asked why Russell was the choice, Auerbach said essentially that what he always said: nobody else could get the best out of Bill Russell except Bill Russell, so he let Bill Russell coach Bill Russell. The Celtics won the championship in 68 and 69 with Russell as player coach. The rules changed because of him. The NBA widened the lane from 6 feet to 12 feet in 51 before Russell arrived, largely in response to George Michael's dominance in the paint. When Russell arrived and proved even more dominant, the league widened it again to 16 feet in 1964-65 season. The rules of the sport were redrawn twice in 20 years because defenders kept finding centers too difficult to play around. Russell's impact on the lane width is not a tribute, it is a measurement. When the rules of a sport change because of one player, the sport itself is acknowledging what statistics cannot fully capture. The composite ranking as seventh means Russell ranks behind Kareem, Duncan, LeBron, Bird, Magic, and Jordan. All six of those players have complete statistical records, including blocks and steals. Russell does not. His 6.81 average per season over 13 years is the third highest career average in the database among players with at least 10 seasons. With estimated block and steal totals based on historical accounts, the number climbs. Several researchers have estimated Russell blocked between 8 and 10 shots per game during his peak seasons. The formula gives him 0. In the 61-62 season in Game 7 of the Finals against the Lakers, Russell produced 30 points and 40 rebounds. 40 rebounds in a single game. The formula counts those 40 rebounds. It does not count the blocked shots that likely accompanied them or the steals he generated by reading passing lanes before the play developed. The formula has done what it can with the information it was given. What it was given is incomplete. The 7th place ranking reflects that incompleteness more than it reflects the player. Russell knew exactly who he was. When Kareem, Shaq, Robinson, Mutombo, and Mourning stood on that stage in 2017, they were not honoring a historical footnote. They were honoring the player who defined what it meant to be a winning center, whose fingerprints are on every defensive scheme, every shot blocking standard, every championship culture that followed him. He pointed at each of them and told them he would kick their ass. He was probably right. The full net wins database with every season from 1946 to 2006 is free. 2026 is free at willf123.github.io/NBA-net.wins. Subscribe to get when the next player drops. NetWins formula and all written contents are original works. All rights reserved.
This audio was created with async.com.